Welcome back. Now, fans of Auckland band Pluto have learned to be patient. It became a kind of standing joke to ask when their next album was coming out, but now, 3.5 years since their debut, Red Light Syndrome, suddenly it is. It wasn't so much writer's block as legal problems with their old label, but now with a new deal and the album out in a few weeks, they're tighter than ever.
Pluto, road testing their new material shortly before Christmas to a crowd who've been waiting a long time to hear it. Red Light Syndrome was released in 2001, and although it didn't storm the charts or put them on magazine covers, it slowly but surely gave them a reputation most bands would give their last guitar pick for. But while some in the industry are puzzled they aren't huge already, Pluto themselves say they haven't really felt the love.
We've never really felt like we've had a big warm embrace from the New Zealand music industry, but that's not necessary. I mean, you don't need that. But sometimes it's nice to get a pat on the back.
Tim and Milan formed the nucleus of the band a few years back while overseas. On their return, they eventually enlisted the other three, but generally wrote the songs themselves. Now, though, they're more a band of 5 songwriters.
And I think we've been together about 4 years now, and it probably took us about 3 years to kind of really start honing sort of our sound, because when you play with 2 people, you try and fill up everything because there's only 2 of you, and then when you've got 5 people, it's much more about taking stuff away.
Milan's the main lyricist, but then Tim writes as well. And songs have come from a more traditional singer-songwriter where either Tim or Milan will come with a guitar and skeleton the song, or might start with like Dance Stamina was drums and bass, and actually started with Mike Hall's bass line. So just having 5 people and everyone being open to ideas.
The delay between albums was in part due to record company issues. Word is they took their local indie label to court, and rightfully they're keeping the details to themselves. Now, though, they've a new deal with major player EMI.
And we also spent a good, 12 months negotiating and looking at a range of different contracts, and just we're always going to pick whichever one was the best, regardless of if it's indie or...
Yeah, I also think that there was maybe 10 years ago the kind of, you have to be on an indie, you know, as a level of cool or whatever, you know, or a level of credibility. But to me, the line between indie and major is just so blurred that it doesn't really matter. I mean, whether it's independently owned or it's a major, it just doesn't seem to make any difference for us.
With the album out February 7th, there'll of course be the release parties to go with it, and they've also been invited back to Texas to play at the musical equivalent of the Ellerslie Flower Show, the South by Southwest Festival. Whether they actually make it depends on finances. Right now, they're just happy to finally have finished the album. But when do you know if an album's finished?
I guess it's when you least hate it. You know, like the first album, there was an intense amount of hate for it, like after it was finished, and this one seems to be like satisfying, you know. But the first one wasn't as satisfying as this one. This one, when you listen back to it and you kind of go, oh, that's all right. So I guess that's all right, you know.
For Milan, it's the storytelling that's the most important part of the music, although oddly the lyrics won't be appearing in the liner notes. But they do plan to make them available to people who send them a stamped self-addressed envelope. And while I don't have the address now, it shouldn't be too hard to get hold of when the big album publicity machine whirls into action in early February. Q Sunday, 1 News.